Hi, this is Kenny Rossi, and this is my final video for my final project for level design. I just wanted to start going over the story that I received that I would be building my level around. Obviously, some creative choices were taken in some places and others, but this is the original story I received. I could read through all of it. I'm not going to for the sake of your time, but the gist, the main things that I took away that informed how I proceeded was that there's this abandoned sort of factory in the middle of nature. So it's like this had to have sat here for a little while uninterrupted to have nature kind of regrow, and clearly not many people have stumbled upon it, and you do through the level. So first, you don't start there. You start a little pulled back. You work your way towards it. Then you go inside. You have to you're gonna interact within it, and unlock, so to speak, some of the secrets of both the factory and areas. And that will culminate, in this original story idea, will culminate in a boss fight. Now, a couple of disclaimers. I am not a professional blueprint scripter or anything of that sort, and I don't think that was the expectation or most people's skills, because this was kind of our first real foray into Unreal. So what I did do, to kind of try to compensate for that, and with the instruction that we were given, is this leans heavy on the narrative, trying to communicate this idea or my interpretation of it across, and use a lot of marketplace assets in order to do that. So really quickly, I'm just going to cover the main ones that I used, and just to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, so for that, I mainly used this pack called, where is it? It was, all of my assets were free from the Unreal Marketplace, Polar Sci-Fi Facility. I found that to be incredibly helpful. It was definitely the one I used the most. And in addition to that, I used Sci-Fi Character 8 as my boss substitute, and Spaceship Interior. And I think I used Stone Pine Forest as well for my foliage brushing. But everything else I downloaded and I messed around with a little bit, but it didn't end up being to my taste. One last thing that I'm going to present before we get into the level playthrough. This is my original molecule drawing. So just go through that really quickly. There are some changes from that original story to make it my interpretation. And then even then, when I was working through the level, there were some other changes that I'll touch on as we play through it. But main things: start near a body of water, a stream in the woods. You move uphill in the forest, and as you move through it, the trees clear and you can see the factory, which is obviously supposed to encourage the player to go look for that. Kind of some downtime as you're searching around for the factory entrance. You find your way through a sewage pipe that you progress through in order to emerge in the main entrance of the factory. You go around, you search to turn on some power, and then you use a ladder from the closet to access new areas, and then you see a room with some churning furnaces or what have you, calling to the player. And that's supposed to spark their sense of exploration. They go in there and they fight with a newly forged robot, and then victory end. So again, this was my molecular drawing. Final product has some changes. Like I said at the beginning, not a pro blueprint person, so I wasn't able to make a boss fight or anything of that sort, but I used models to substitute in where they would be and such. So yeah, if this was in a real setting, the gameplay programmers, their pipeline would be working on the boss fight while I kind of position things for the actual level. And that's kind of how it's set up, and you'll see as we walk through. So yeah, that is the main things I wanted to set up, and let's head over to the level. We are in my level. Like I said, give it a second to load. I think some of the textures are just loading in. But yeah, so we start off near that body of water that I mentioned for my molecular drawing. Then we kind of work our way up, and you can see I have the factory, one of the pillars of peeking through the tree line, but it's still obstructed fairly well. It's just that one little pillar you see with the smoke coming out. It's kind of trying to get the player, hey, why don't you start thinking about heading over there? But not yelling at them to do that, just kind of getting in their back of their head. And then this other thing I sort of do throughout is I have these weird pieces of technology that kind of contrast the natural landscape protruding through, and kind of saying, time has passed enough here that this stuff has been terraformed a bit, but it's supposed to get the player to think, and this is a common theme, what exactly has gone on here? Not what's going on necessarily, although there's an element of that, but what has gone on here? Because these things wouldn't just sink into the earth like that. You know, time has had to have passed here. Something's had to have gone on. And then if you looked at my molecular drawing, you saw there are those molecules with the arrows pointing out, where I kind of want to let the player, like, I mean, I'm never actually directly telling them where to go, but where I want to kind of lean back a little bit and let them explore. And this would be one of those. I have that protruding over there that kind of says you're going in the right way, but also, you know, encourage them to look around a little bit. There's this, I tried to make a little bit of a platforming section over there, with natural landscape, but you can't quite make it. So that kind of teaches the player, you know, like, all right, you're on the right track of thinking to get in here, but this isn't the way. And then they should eventually loop around and find this sewer pipe, which I also had a sewer pipe protruding, not one that you could traverse through, but one protruding through the side that you could see from above. And then you work over there and you'll see this one, which is our main platforming section. And, you know, I'm going through it as fast as I can, but I'm still going to mess up a little bit here, I guess. But the idea is that this is the in-between section between the factory and the more open area of the beginning, where the player kind of is kind of slowed down a little bit, and, you know, trying to get them to sit and think with, you know, what's going on here. Yeah, and there's not too much light here because the platforms themselves have a little bit of luminescence, and I wanted to kind of toy around with that. But as you work up, slowly but surely, more and more light it appears. So here we're kind of, at a certain point, you get just these kind of spiral staircase sections. And that's sort of where we're at right now. Yeah, we're almost at the top here. Just one more little, and there you go. Yeah, and then if you want, you can, there you go, you get a nice scenic view of the area, and you can platform over here. And then this is kind of we're at the factory now that we saw in the distance before. And there's a little broken off section on the back, just like it kind of mentioned in the story. You land in here. There's this kind of sanctioned offside thing with the closet where I've lit up that has a wire poking through to the left. And if, you know, again, if I was a better blueprint scripter, then you would be able to interact with this, and it would open up this door over here, which would then allow you to access this area where you kind of get a little bit more of the picture filled in, but, you know, never explicit. So yeah, you have these tanks on the right, and some of them are just kind of empty and sitting there, but that last one you see in the back, it's somebody's busted out of there. And these other side things, you have these little generators with wires and a couple crates over here, and this last wire that's hanging down is upwards, and you kind of see these last few crates in the back that you can platform off of. And you do that, and you will get to the final area, which is where the boss is. And I have them I did a little bit of like color scheme or color theory going on here with like these are like blue hued lights throughout the factory as you lead up, and then there's a red hued light for the boss. In between here, there's like an in between one. But yeah, this is my level. So this is where the boss fight would be. You'd fight this boss, and then it was kind of like this cybernetic alien type thing, and then you would complete the level. So yeah, that's my level. Kind of proceeded through my molecular drawings with slight modifications, mostly just implementation of platforming sections over ladders and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you for watching.